This episode really begins several weeks ago, just as fishing was permitted again following lockdown. I was looking for some local venues to target and came across a lake complex not too far away that seemed to hold some nice tench and a few carp. Having never targeted tench particularly, I decided this would be a good opportunity to do so. So I prepared my kit, I tied some rigs, and it wasn't long before I was loading up my gear and heading out for the start of Tench Quest. The lake I chose was an old sandpit set in idyllic surroundings. To try and maximise my chances of catching tench that can sometimes be quite elusive, I booked in for a 24-hour session. Arriving at the lake, it was apparent that the venue was quite full as the carp anglers were overspilling onto what I learnt was usually the Little Fish Tench Lake. Whilst there was some large carp present, the stock was so low, carp anglers usually ignore this lake. I therefore set up in a location that was not as ideal as I hoped, but was determined to make the best of it. I set up one rod with corn and ground bait on a drop-off into deeper water, and the other on a maggot feeder close to some snags in the margin. The wait for the bite then began. There he is, our first tench of the session. Absolutely ripping take from the right hand rod there, and then we were in a really nice tench, and we're happy to be off the mark and save the blank with this one. We'll get him slipped back now. After the first tench, I got the rod back into position and continued to wait as the evening got dark, but with no more fish that night. At first light I rebaited, but saw no more activity all morning. I then moved swims to follow the wind in the hope of locating the tench. Unfortunately, I caught no more fish, and at lunchtime it was time to pack up, having only caught the one tench this session. A week later I was back out. I picked a swim opposite where I fished previously, which had much better access to different areas of the lake. I used a lead to find a weed-free gravel bar and cast both rods out on the spot. I introduced some ground bait, and it wasn't long before we had a take. Had our first fish on, but unfortunately it just came off in all this weed. Came off again. Well, got another fish on. Having already lost two, I'm determined not to let this one get away. Yes! In the net! Oh, at last! Okay. Oh, dear. Well, at last we have one tench to show for our efforts. Not a bad one, and definitely a really good start. I'm going to weigh this guy and then slip him back and see if we can get another one on. About 462. Well, I'm really happy just to get one in at last. After subtracting the weight of the sling, that was about 3.6 pounds. But that second fish I hooked but didn't manage to land felt much bigger. So the rod's already out there. Let's hope we can get another one on. After sitting and enjoying the view for a short period, it wasn't long until the alarm sounded again. God damn it. Another fish on now. Well, this one's a little bit smaller than the last one. But another nice little tench there. So two for 5 now. Not doing too well today. Let's get him back. Well, that finishes off that session. It's now time for me to go. So I had, what did I have, 2 out of 5 fish in the end. I'm absolutely gutted about that second run because I think that was a really nice fish. It was a big run. So I have to try and get down here again one last session before the weed really grows up, and see if we can catch some more tench. So we'll definitely be down here again. It certainly didn't take long to find time to return. About a week later I was back out to try again before the summer weed grew too dense. As this was likely to be my last session at the lake, I was really keen to make it count. I'd made a few rig changes to try and avoid losing fish and had enough bait for a good day's fishing. I also fortunately arrived to an abandoned lake, being the only angler present, and so I had my choice of the swims. Well, this is where I was last time. So I actually think I'm going to start off here again. I think this is the shallowest part of the lake here. So being early in the morning, or earlier in the morning, hopefully all the fish should be in this area at the moment. I cast around until I found a weed-free spot in the lake and clipped up to that distance with the marker sticks. I then put a large bunch of maggots on the hook and filled up the feeder, ready to get the rig into position. While sheltering from a brief rain cloud, I was into the first tench. Oh, first fish on here. Let's try and get him in the net. Yes, in the net, first one. Oh. Okay, only a little one. There he is. Chill. So one small tench, very welcome for the first one. We'll get this guy back and get the rod back out there. Let's catch some more. The rain continued on and off throughout the day, and the tench kept coming. Ah, came off. Although disheartened to lose a fish, I refilled the feeder and got the rig back into position, ready to try for another one. Well, we've really just had quite a crazy period. I had one fish on which just absolutely ripped, so I didn't even bother to turn the camera on. I just got him in and we did that. I quickly rebaited, put the rod back out again, and before I could even get this fish out to have a look, the other one was already away. So we've got 2 in the net now, and they're both really quite nice fish. So there's one, oh, steady buddy. So one male, one female there by the looks of it. Cracking fish. We're gonna get this big one weighed because he looks like a nice fish there. So there's one. Really nice fish. And here's the other one. An absolute slab of a tench. Let's get this guy weighed. It's about 431. The net is about £1, so a 3.3 tench there. So Between fish, the lake was often very peaceful. I sat back, sheltering from the rain and watching the view, but it often wasn't long until the alarm went off again. Yay, he's in. Oh, dear. Well, another nice tench on here. Beautiful colours on this one, you know, not a bad size, probably around the £3 mark as well. So we're going to get him slipped back, get the rig straight back out there and see if we can catch another one. Okay, fish on. I think he's a tench, but he's fighting really hard. He keeps wanting to go into those weeds all the time. In the net. Excellent. Well, there we go, another nice tench on. That's not a bad one at all. You know, a good couple of pounds, £2.5, £3 that probably. So we'll get this guy slipped back, get the rod back out there. I was just really considering a rebait there, but then this guy took off, so. Oh, I just had an absolute ripping take. This feels like a really nice fish. Oh, it's a carp, it's a carp, it's a carp. Oh, it's in my line, it's in the other line. Oh, come on, buddy, stay on. Okay. Ooh, I keep thinking he's ready for netting and then he does a little run. Oh, that's a nice common. Come on, get out the other line. I do not want to get the two lines wrapped up. He's just trying to go for those weeds all the time. In the net. Well, I was thrilled to catch a bonus common carp. Certainly not one of the biggest fish in the lake. It was a really nice looking carp, being nearly scale perfect. I kept him in the water as he had fought so hard and got him back as soon as I could. I got the rig back out into position for the last hour of the day to see if we could catch one last fish. Into another fish. This feels like another nice one. I think a tench though, rather than a carp. He's pulling really hard. Hey, in the net he goes. Oh, that's not a bad one at all. Take that. Oh, we'll just get the hook popped out and then we'll slip him straight back. go. There you go, buddy. Okay, off you go. The end of this third session really concluded my quest to catch some nice tench from this old gravel pit. During the summer the weed will grow up, making it really difficult to present a bait and even to land fish. Furthermore, the rivers are now open, so I have more places I can fish. So for now, it's time to move on and give this lake a rest.